everything and you told them this is what I charge, and they're like, we can't afford that. We can't afford that. But this is what our budget is presently. So when you're in such case, are you going to consider, is there any other consideration you are going to make, or what would be your reply to such client? So we'll just begin from there. At this point, I need to hear.
At this point, I need to hear. So I'm trying to fix my audio, but Chris, over to you. Over to you.
I don't really understand what the challenge is. There's a fast rising brand, and you want to know how I would work with them. What is the problem? I don't hear a problem here.
Okay. The problem is that they have a very low budget. They have a low budget. Maybe that's not what you charge. That's not what you charge. But it's a fast rising brand, and you see that, okay, these persons, they are going somewhere. Are you going to have any other considerations?
Yeah, there's a couple of things you can consider. There are, well, in the beginning of my career, people used to mention the 3 R's. It's for the real, the relationship, or the revenue. And you have to have at least one. I prefer to have 2. So the real would be for your portfolio. Like if you think you can do really good work for the fast rising brand, and you're going to be able to use that to leverage that to get better work in the future, because you can say, now I've worked with Xbox or I've worked with Sony PlayStation.
That's a big deal to be able to say. So it's social proof. And then the relationship is because I'm a person who's generous, who's kind, who's giving, who's clear with what it is that they want. And they're also generous in wanting to tell other people. They're social connectors. And when we see them, we need to identify them. They're not everybody. So not every person you work with is a relationship. And this is where people get really confused. Like, well, there's so much potential in this that this person is going to give me work and be loyal and be kind and be generous. And that's not the case. The kinds of people that you're looking for are the kinds who would leave a Yelp review because they loved a restaurant, or who would fill in, you know, when you're at the airport and you're in the bathroom, they have these 4 faces, like one's an angry face, one's a happy face, one's a, I don't know face, and one's like, it's okay. And you hit those. The people who hit those buttons are the ones that you want to work with. Those are the relationship builders, because they're going to go tell other people. They're going to be your word of mouth advertising, your WOMA, your WOMA, word of mouth advertising. Not everybody is like that. Some people, when they meet somebody who's really good and who does a really great job for them, they want to keep it as a secret because they don't want to give anyone else this resource. So let's go over it again. It's either about the real, which is your portfolio, and you can leverage this project to get other projects. 2, it's because of the relationship. These are social networkers who love to tell people about the things they've experienced in a positive way. They have a very generous spirit. And lastly, of course, in this case, we don't have it because it's great revenue for us. Those are the 3 R's.
Wow, that's profound. I was expecting Chris to say, no, I'm not going to do it. But that's profound. That's profound. That's profound. I think that clears the confusion. It clears the confusion. So you consider those 3 R's. I believe people are now clear on this. So I'll just move to the next scenario. So for instance, most times I'll try to put perspective. So others or people that are watching can just get what we're talking about. So for instance, you starting a business. Let me say you just started a business, Chris. Let's just say there was no blind, and let me say you just get to start blind
or any other business. When will you consider expanding? Because sometimes I know certainly that it's not the availability of resources that means you should expand. I know certainly. So what would make you even think of expanding? Like when do you know? How do you know when exactly to expand a particular business so that you don't crash? Because some persons get to expand their business and that is when they just crash. That's when the business crashes. So what will be your take on this?
You can expand when the amount of money coming in is enough for you to be able to hire someone else to do the work that you're doing. If I get paid $100 an hour and I can hire someone to do it for $20, $30, $40, $50 an hour, it's better for me to give half of that money, a third of the money, or whatever amount it is, to someone else to do that work. Because what I'm doing is I'm buying back my time. What entrepreneurs understand is finite is a uniquely perishable, non-renewable resource that is the most valuable thing that you can do. when you lose money, you can use money to make more money, but when you lose time, you
Yeah.
can't use more time to make more time.
Yeah.
So you can do this from the minute that you start. That requires you to ask for more money than you think you're worth. And so that you can then go and hire someone to help you, a junior, someone who's mid-tier. But if you ask for enough money, you can hire the best person in the country or in the world to work for you. Be able to give your clients the very best work that you can give them while building a portfolio that's better than the kind that you can do on your own.
Yeah. Wow, that's profound. That's profound. That's profound. I hope you guys got it. I hope you guys got it, because I'm really amazed at the wisdom that is being shared here. That's being shared here. I'm really amazed. So just move to the next point to keep to our time. Move to the next scenario. Okay? Move to the next scenario. Move to the next scenario. So scenario 3. Okay. So for instance, a client comes to meet you. Let me say, Chris, a client comes to meet you and says, okay, I want a logo, for instance. Let's keep it on logos. So I want a logo. And the client does not know what he or she really wants. Does not know what he or she really wants.
Sometimes they might tell you, just do your magic, and most times it ends up in disaster. So the client does not know what he or she wants, and just asks you to just provide the solution. Maybe hoping that you are the expert, so you just provide the solution. I really don't know what I want, but I know I need a logo, but I don't know what exactly I want. So in such case, what are you going to do, Chris?
Okay, so the clients come to you and ask you for help with something they don't know what they want.
Yes.
Right?
For instance,
Okay.
yes. For instance, the logo. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So whenever somebody comes to me and doesn't know what they want, it's incumbent on me to be able to ask them questions to guide them through a very complicated process to help them make clear decisions. I should not start doing any work until the clients and I have a shared understanding of what it is that we want to build together. So if we step outside of the world of logo design and we go into, say, something like, I don't know that much about, like when I got fitted for a shirt with buttons, a button-up Oxford shirt, a tailor came to my studio and asked me all kinds of questions about fabrics, about types of buttons and collars, and I don't know anything. And I think if he had done a better job, he would have had a customer for life. But what he did was he assumed I knew what he knew and just had me making decisions. And so I picked out fabrics and collars I don't know anything about. And ultimately I got a shirt face, but it wasn't like this was the most amazing thing. Sometimes we designers, we forget that the client's very intimidated by us and what it is that we do. To them, this might as well be sorcery. And if you take it like, well, they don't know what they want, they're stupid, you might treat them poorly, or you just assume, well, they hired me to do what I want. And very rarely is that the case. They don't know how to engage in this conversation with you, so it's your job to ask them really smart questions. So what we can do is we can start off by this. So you want a logo. I have to ask you this question. A lot of clients come to me and they say, Chris, help me make a logo. And I often think, you don't need a new logo. So let me ask you this question. Before we spend any real money and energy against this, why do you think you need a logo? What's motivating this request, this idea that you need a new logo? Like, well, I inherited the business from my parents and it feels very old-fashioned. I want to let them know that there's new management, there's new ownership, it's the same name, same quality that you've come to love, but new ideas are coming. So we need a break from the past. That's a pretty good reason to want the new logo. So I'm learning lots of things here, their motivation, the amount of change they want from their original logo to where they want to go. Now we go to the next phase. In creating a logo, there's lots of different types of logos that you can create. I'm curious as to which type you like the most. And let me show you a couple of examples. You know that there are companies that just have a symbol. And that company would be like Apple.
Yes.
And some companies have what we would call a crest. And that would be something like Starbucks, where it's a very pictographic thing. And then some companies just have a word like, or two letters like Dolce & Gabbana, D and G. Some brands have just type, just words. That's called a word mark. And I'll give another example of that. Of the types of logos that are out there, which one do you think you want the most? And do I need to show you examples? So they say, well, you know what? We'd love something that has some words on it and maybe some kind of symbol or a mascot. I'm like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's break this thing down. The symbol and mascot should represent something. Do you have a story you wanted to tell? Something about the legacy, about where you came from or where you're going, so I have some idea. It should be abstract or should be very figurative, like we can tell what it is. Are there any attributes or values you want me to imbue in the mascot that you want us to create? And they would say things. And in the world of different types of word marks, what words come to mind in terms of how you want people to feel about your logo, your identity? And they could say, we want it to feel modern, progressive, or they could say, we want it to feel like it's built really strong, like it's durable, or it's very fast or elegant, or something else, something with movement. Okay, great. So based on this, what I'd like to do is I'd like to go away, show you some logos that you've just described, just to check in with you before actually designing new logos. You can call this a mood board. You can call it a stylescape. You can call it tear sheets. I want to show them something because we want to take abstract language and we want to convert it to something visual and make it more tangible. You do know that they say that a picture is worth 1,000 words. In this case, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So let's show them something. And like, oh, Chris, I don't know why I said those things. That's not what I'm looking for at all. I'm like, great, this is the time for us to talk about this. Like, actually, I just want a symbol like the I from CBS. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now. You want something abstract, something simple and geometric. Is that right? And they're like, yes. Okay, let me show you some more things that are like that before I design anything. And then through a couple of rounds of this, they feel more confident that they have the language to communicate with you, and you haven't wasted a ton of emotional energy and resources in creating this for them, so that you're not overly invested in one direction or the other. Eventually, you might wind up with something like, we want a simple sans serif typeface, upper lowercase, with a geometric abstract symbol that's going to represent this company. And now you can begin the work. And so that's how I would take the client through the entire process of, you don't know what you want, fantastic, I can work with you. And it's a different thing to say, like, they don't know how to communicate what they want versus they're totally indecisive, they have no opinion. Those kinds of clients, I need to warn everybody here, be very careful about working with indecisive clients. Okay?
Yeah, it's very, very important. Very important. It's a warning. It has to be a warning. Be careful. So I think, Chris, what you just said is profound. It's profound. Because I think the mistake most persons make is that when they are given that kind of opportunity, maybe the client says, okay, just do something. I do not know what I want. They just, rather than walking the journey with the client or journeying with the client to make their decision, they just get to go back and just do something at random and give it to the client. Then the client says, I don't like this. Then they go back again and do something else and bring it back. They say, yes, I don't like this again. They go back and they're just going back and forth. At the end of the day, they are frustrated. So I believe you have to walk the journey. And that's what Chris has said. You have to walk the journey with them so that they can get to a point where they have clearly known or they've clearly stated what they want. I think that is profound. That's profound. Please, just some clapping emoji for Chris. Some clapping emoji. Are you guys not enjoying some clapping emojis? That's nice. That's beautiful. So I'll just move to the next one. Move to the next one. So the fourth one, I think this one can make designers depressed. It can make them depressed, can make them traumatized. As in, you get, okay, let's say, so I'm going to put you on the spot now, Chris. For instance, you do a work, after all these things, you do a logo for a client, and or any aspect of creativity. Let me just put it, any aspect of creativity. Let me see, like you do copyright or anything, but you delivered professionally to the client after following your normal routine, your research, maybe asking client questions and everything. Then you do something and the client does not like it. And meanwhile, I know in some cases you might get to look at it and say, okay, I think I did something wrong here. I think I have to adjust some things. But I'm talking about the scenario where you feel that this is the logo. This is it. This is it. I think according to
how long I've been in the business and everything, I think this is the perfect logo for you. If I do anything more to it, you just feel that this is it. This is the logo. But the client says, this is not it. This can make people traumatized like that. Like, what is this? Sometimes you feel depressed and this like that. So what will you do in such case? The client slaps the logo at your face and say, no, I don't like this.
Okay. That means there's a miscommunication. And so I would say, okay, thank you for being so honest and direct with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we're having this conversation now versus like when it's almost done and you say you don't like it.
Yeah.
Let's try to unpack what you don't like. So when we say we like and we don't like, it's not extremely informative. Let's go and pick it apart. And I'll give you one thing to respond to at a time. Okay?
Okay.
Let's just look at the colors. Do you like the colors? Okay, you like the colors. Or if you hate the colors, okay, you don't like blue, or you like orange instead. Okay, so if I just change this to orange, you would like it? And they sometimes that's all it takes is like, we hate blue, we love orange, because that's my college colors and it's important to me and it feels like it's connected to some idea that I would never be able to predict. Cool. So we unpack it one layer at a time. Let's cover up the mascot in the same example here, and let's just look at the typeset. So I literally take a piece of paper and lay it over it or cover it with my hand and say, do you like this part of it? Or what part of this isn't working for you? And then they have to be able to articulate. It's like, yeah, I think this is it. So let me just double check. Let me cover up the word and let's look at the mascot. And like, I love the mascot. Okay, great, great, great. So we love the mascot. We don't like blue. We like orange. So I can integrate some orange in there. Okay, great. Let's put that aside. So it's just this typeset that you don't like. Try to give me any other, like when you look at this typeset, what are the feelings that you have? What does it communicate to you? They can say, well, it feels lazy. It doesn't feel pristine. I say, okay. Well, I can work with that. So the idea is like, this doesn't feel quite right to you. Okay. Are you looking for any additional embellishments, or do you want us to try different typesets? Why don't I go and just work on that? So what we do is we strip away different layers, we isolate and help the clients focus in on what they don't like and say, okay, let's figure this over. I'm okay with that too, but I don't want to feel like you ever felt like you had to compromise in this process.
Wow.
Let's bring it back. Let's bring it back to the tailor who came to my office to make me a custom button-down shirt. If he had said, Chris, these are the 3 most popular collar types: a closed collar, a spread, and a semi-spread. And depending on your use, like if you're going to use that and you want to look more formal and sharp, I recommend the semi-spread because it's going to look really good with a tie. Do you wear a tie? I'm like, I do. And I see what you're saying. The other one's a little too open. This one's too tight. So the semi-spread, huh? Okay, great. See, so we don't understand a lot of times the decisions that we're making, the opinions that we're giving to people until someone puts it into context for us. The example there is, I do like to wear ties. So a semi-spread is the most versatile. Based on that, if I never wore ties, or if I never button it all the way to the top, that would inform him. Maybe you want a closed, I forget what it's called, a closed collar, and then you can leave it unbuttoned. Do you work out a lot? Are you constantly changing sizes in terms of like your chest and your, well, I'm going to recommend that we don't do a pure cotton shirt. We do something with viscose in it so that it has a little stretchiness to it. Yeah. That way it'll feel really fitted for you. It'll show off your figure, but it won't feel like restricted to you. I'm like, oh my God. Well, do you sweat a lot? I'm like, no, not really. Well, okay, in case you sweat a lot, we'd have to recommend darker fabrics or something with a stain resistant coating on it or whatever else. Do you wear a watch? Well, now we know how to end the hem of the sleeve. And so those kinds of things, we need to be able to understand ourselves so that we can communicate it to our client about logos. Logos are much more abstract. It's harder to figure out how to talk about them. So what you have to do is you have to increase your vocabulary about how you talk about things to make it really concrete. Give you an example. When you start to learn about typography and letter forms, you understand that a lowercase g, that's a 2-story G, has this little thing at the top that's called an ear. And the space in between that's trapped is called the counter. And there's an ascender and a descender, a foot and an arm. The arm is the leg or the leg of the R, like an uppercase R. So you see, even typographers and designers of typefaces have learned to describe things so that they're easier to remember by using human anatomy to talk about the ear, the arm, the leg, right? So that's what we want to do. We want to be able to change the vocabulary of the words that we're using. Werner Ertard said something like, if you change the language, this is what he said, all transformation is linguistic. If you change the words, then you change the conversation. And this is what we need to do. We change the culture. So when you show a client, I have my friend's work here. Let me pull it up. This is my friend's product here. It's called Self-Love Affirmations and Reflections. You see this typeface here? Self-love.
Yeah.
Well, how would you describe this to somebody, EKD? If this were a typeface, available typeface, assuming it's not hand lettered, how would you describe this typeface to somebody? First of all, what's the feeling that you get from this? How would you describe this?
It's playful.
It's playful?
Yeah.
What else?
Yes. It's kind of secular. It's unofficial. It's unofficial. Yeah, I don't know anything more, but I think it's unofficial. It's
okay.
playful.
You're running out of words. You see, here's the problem. So you have to work on your words and your language too, right?
Okay.
So the reason, and I hate to say this, but those of you that are really good at the craft and the design of things will always be in a position underneath someone who understands the craft, but also can explain it and articulate it to someone else. Here's the difference. And I put you on the spot. This is not fair, right? So all of our audience, I want you to use as many words in the comments below to describe the feeling or this typeface, this typeset to a prospective client. Because like, Chris, I don't know how I feel about that. How would you describe that? So go ahead and put the answers down in the comments below. I'll hold it here next to it.
Yeah,
let's get some engagement here from everybody, all right? So, okay, I'm going to read the comments. Artistic, yes. It's personable. Good, good, good. It's friendly. It has perspective. Well, I don't know. It's free. Free form. Okay, so feels playful. Yes, yes. Okay, let's keep going. Come on, everybody. There's 188 of you. The comments should be flying by. It's childlike and bubbly.
Fun.
Organic, fun, free. Okay, okay. Flexible. Okay. So some words you and I may resonate with. We're like, yes, yes, we feel that. And some are like, I don't know if that's the right word, right? And you had used two words to describe this. What were the two words you used, EKD?
I said
unofficial.
Unofficial, yeah.
Yeah, unofficial is a strange word to describe it. I have to be honest with you here. It feels unofficial. Okay. Here's how I would describe it. Okay. And this, ladies and gentlemen and non-binaries, let me just explain it, is why I get paid the big bucks and why you have some room to grow. I'll show you. Okay. This is a deck of cards about affirmations and reflections. So it's like self-development work. It's about feeling safe and making sure. So when somebody picked this, first of all, they picked this kind of light pink color because it feels a little more feminine. It feels like, you know, and it feels, the reason why is because usually powder blues are associated with male and like light powder pinks are associated with female, especially from childhood, right? And there's something about it. So it feels hand done. It's like, it's bold, but it's not so heavy that it feels too heavy for what it is, the feeling that we're looking for. It's very approachable, friendly, and it feels like it's kind of like this thing where it isn't rigid with like hard edges. Everything is irregular, and some people have used the word organic. And so you can say it feels very approachable, and it has to be if it's going to sit on a shelf and say, hey, self-love. So there's something there, and it feels very personal and human. And I think those are good words to use to describe this specific typeface. So when you're presenting to your client, you kind of have to think, you know what, based on the feeling, the product, the market, the demographics, how we make this super attractive to people is I selected 2 or 3 typefaces that I think communicate this. Now, not always doing the typical expected thing is the right thing. Sometimes it's doing something totally different. And I love the contrast between these 2 typefaces. One is it's like this hand-done script typeface that's irregular, and it's contrasted against all uppercase. Looks like something like Trade Gothic bold condensed number 20, but I'm not sure. And the contrast between is great because you get the loving energy. There's magic and there's emotion and there's logic. So the contrast between the two, I think, hit the nail on the head in terms of the kind of communication you want to have. I hope that was helpful.
Yes, super helpful, super helpful.
So thanks, Chris. That was profound. That was profound. So it means certainly, I think like what you said, designers, or maybe we as designers, simply some designers, we find it difficult to use words perfectly, words that would properly
maybe help us articulate what we mean in a way that the client will get to understand. So I think we'll have to do more better when it comes to that. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
EKD, I want to answer some questions. Is that okay?
EKD, you won't put me on the spot.
No, I'm going to answer questions. I'm not asking you questions. I'm putting you on the spot. Don't worry. Their questions are flying in. I want to respond to the community who's showing up to let them know we're reading the comments and we're understanding what they're doing. Okay. A couple different questions here. Number one is, how do we develop this kind of language to be able to talk about this? Okay. So the best way to do this is if you hang around with other artists and designers that you look up to, who speak and present work and critique work all the time. It's just by osmosis. You're going to absorb the language. All you have to do is hang around with some MFA students at a fine art gallery and just listen in, like, how are they talking about this? And they'll talk about colors and the shape and what it means and the intentionality behind it. They're going to use all these art words that you'll pick up, and you're going to just absorb it. And this is a good thing. My little scarf is becoming undone here. Okay, so that's what you want to be able to do. Another thing that you can do is you can literally just learn vocabulary words. Like pick up a book for the SAT, and it'll have like 10,000 words or 1,000 words you need to learn for the SAT, and you'll learn these things, and you'll be able to talk about it. Number three is you just need to do the research. If you read books and they're not super exciting on the history of graphic design, you're going to learn so much about where things come from and the evolution of different typefaces. Now, I'm curious. You're a designer, right, EKD?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Do you know the origin of typefaces and where it comes from?
I know a little bit about typefaces.
Tell me about it then.
I know a little bit about. I think one of how it was, or it came about, was during the ancient times. I think those cavemen, they would write on walls, they would write on rocks and things like that. And I think that was how it basically started. Then you move from there to type of typefaces where we have the serif and the sans serifs and the scripts and the rest. So I think that's basically how it came about.
Okay, there's a lot more to it than just that. So let's get into it. So when I go and teach type and typography, I have to go do the research myself because I want to understand things better. So I can speak from a place of knowledge. So everybody here, if you're a marketer, if you're a life coach, if you're a brand designer, you owe it to yourself to dig up the history of things, to understand where things come from, so then things make a lot more sense. Now, I'll be honest with you, I know about that much. When I speak to a type master, they know that much. My hands are not even that big, so it's like they know way more, so I'm like in awe of their knowledge. I'm inspired by them, but they know a lot about one very specific thing, okay?
Yeah.
So the evolution of the modern Roman alphabet, which is how most of us use it now, you could use a Cyrillic alphabet or some other kind of alphabet, an Arabic typeface. That's a totally different thing. But it comes from the writing instrument, which was a reed. A reed is like a grass, right? They cut it, and it's angular and it's flat. And so they dip the reed in ink and they write letters. So if you look at calligraphy is based on the reed itself. And so when they write, and they would write in all capitals, by the way, okay? They would write all capitals, and that's how they would draw it. So there's an angle and a change in weight from heavy to thin, depending where you hit it, all right? And then there's a thick and thin. There's a thick and thin. And so the first typefaces are what we would consider this traditional or classic typefaces that are serif typefaces, and they're all capitals. So eventually they start to figure out, like, you know what, writing capitals takes a lot of time because they count the number of strokes. If you count capital A, it's 1, 2, 3. 3 strokes. But if you do a lowercase a, it's like 1, 2. You see? So they're starting to realize by writing lots of words, they need to be more efficient. So they meant the lowercase alphabet, which isn't that related to the uppercase. Somebody decided that uppercase A is going to look like this, and a lowercase a is going to look like this. Not always a connection. That's why it's confusing. And that's why some students have a hard time learning to write upper and lower case because they're not really the same. Okay? So that's where we start to evolve from. And as we start to become more and more refined, you'll start to see the development, the evolution of strokes for uniform weight, and then sans serif typefaces are born. And so when you look at all typefaces, it's quite interesting that if you start to look at someone who's a master calligrapher who can hold a piece of chalk or a calligraphy pen, a flat nib calligraphy pen, they can actually draw all the modern alphabets, everything. And you're like, wow, I thought just somebody designed this in Adobe Illustrator and added these things arbitrarily.
Yeah.
Someone with a piece of chalk or a chisel and stone can carve this, and you're like, this is amazing, because that's where all this stuff comes from.
Yeah, that's profound. That's profound. So we need to go and do a lot of study, and most times people get to see
a little bit.
A lot. So sometimes people would say that designers are lazy. That's why most times they tend to price it very low. They say we are lazy sometimes. Sometimes I'll tell people that design falls into like 2 categories. Sometimes you go into art. Sometimes you have to even go into the scientific. You have to go into science. So it's just that way. It's just that way. So I'll just go to the last scenario we have. I'll go to the last scenario. And before I forget, Chris mentioned that you should hang out with some
art students and things like that. Make sure you hang out. If you hang around Chris, you would know all this. Okay, with time, you would know all this. So make sure you hang around Chris. Do hang around the future. This. So I'm moving to the next scenario. I'll just try to put a little perspective. For instance, I think after the COVID season, a great number of persons went remote. A great number of companies also. So, and it's really amazing to do remote work. But there is this issue. I like remote work, but I normally have this issue with it, and I know most persons have this issue too. So I'm going to put it to you, Chris. For instance, you're giving let me say you're a logo designer or a graphic designer or whatever, maybe a video editor or any category in the arts. So you're being asked or being contracted by a company to work remote. So what are the conditions you would bring to the table? What are the conditions after them giving their own condition, saying, okay, this is how we work, this is how we want our work delivered this time and this time. So what are the things you would look out for to see, okay, I'm going to take, if you're going to take the job or not? So what are the things you are going to look out for? Are you going to give them any condition, maybe from your own side, like this is how I work, this is how, so that it favors you and favors the client? Because most times remote job like it becomes a bone in the neck. Where you just go back and forth because there are no clear. So I'll just throw that to you. So what would you do in such case? What are you going to do in such case?
All right, there's a couple of things here. Are we being paid by the hour, or are we paid by the deliverable?
Okay, so which you prefer? Any? Which would you prefer? Are you going to give them the just tell them straight up that you want to work per hour? Which one would you prefer? That you say, okay, this will go well with me, this will favor me and also favor them. Which would you prefer? Yeah.
I'm flexible to both of these. I'm going to put myself in your shoes. I don't do independent contracting work, but if I did, there's two different things. Okay, let's understand both. So we'll break it down. Okay. If you charge by the hour, the client takes the risk. I don't take any risk, because if I work 200 hours, they pay me $200 or 200 hours or whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
So they don't have control over the price, and this creates some uncertainty, and they take some risks. So if I do it really quickly, then they'll pay a lot less. If it take a really long time, they'll pay a lot more. We understand how that works, right? What is the risk that you have? So if you're going to do hourly based pricing, what I would do is to set up a one-page deal memo to say, I will work on this project at this hourly rate, and I will bill you every 2 days so you are aware of what's going on, or bill you every week or whatever. If it's a long project, a week or every 2 weeks is good. And you have to square up the invoice with me pretty quickly. So you want to set up a way of payment and a way for the clients to check in, or a ways in which you can share work in progress as you go. It's very important if you're working with them for the first time to set up expectations. What are your expectations? What are my expectations? How is this a home run for you, and how is this a nightmare or disaster? And you should just ask these kinds of questions. Okay, since they're paying hourly, they can change it as many times as they want. It doesn't matter to me. And so the only thing I'm concerned is I don't work on the weekends. You could say I'm a single father, and at 8 o'clock I have to put my son to bed, and that's the end of my work day. And so my work day begins from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and I'll give you the best work I can in that time. Some parts of the project require research and thinking. I would charge you for that. There would be no tangible work being done, but rest assured that the research is necessary for me to be able to come up with really good ideas. Okay, so every billable hour isn't me on the box making something for you, but it is me working for you. And then you just have an open, mature, adult conversation, two business owners talking to each other, clarifying the terms and conditions. You just want to make sure you get paid on a regular basis. Now, you may also require a deposit up front. If this is a sketchy person or you're not quite sure if they'll pay you, you can say, based on the scope of work, I estimate this taking 3 weeks. Okay? I would, to be fair to both people, I need you to put down a deposit that's going to go against the hours worked for the first week. So I put at risk 3 weeks, you risk 1 week, okay? So that seems to be pretty fair. So you estimate the hours and your hourly rate for the first week, and they should cut you a check. If they don't trust you and you don't trust each other, you can create an escrow account where you put the money in there such that a third party can arbitrate in case it goes sideways. This is a problematic with hourly work. Now, the other thing you need to do due diligence for yourself is you need to look at their website. You need to call some other previous independent contractors. You need to search on Glassdoor to see if there's a lot of complaints about them not paying. Ask your friends, I'm about to work with XYZ company. Have you heard bad things about them not paying or just being a pain in the ass? I just need to know up front. That's the hourly part. Now, when you start to work with clients over time, they're going to say something to you where it's uncomfortable, it's too risky for us for you to be billing us hourly because I have no idea what you're doing. I would like you to move to a project fee. And you're okay, great. Well, based on the scope of work, if you don't change anything, I can deliver the project for $2,000. Okay. Now, what you do in your mind is, if you're going to do a project fee, the traditional way of doing this is to estimate how many hours you're going to work on it and pad it, because things never work the way you think. You think, oh, it's going to take me 10 hours to design the logo. But in fact, you're going to spend 10 hours just doing research. And then there's 2 hours to talking to the client, 3 hours of revisions. So a good rule of thumb is whatever you think it's going to take, multiply it by 3. So if I think it's going to take me 10 hours, I should estimate it being 30 hours. 3 times 10 is 30. So my rate is $100 an hour. 30 hours would be $3,000. And you would be normal if you were like, I'm going to estimate at $3,000. Hold on. If you just estimate for $3,000 and you actually work for 30 hours, you made 0 profit. You made no profit. This is where you need to add 30%. It's just a suggestion of profit in there. So you take the $30,000 and you add 30% to cover different expenses. And you can start to get very sophisticated with how you build these estimates to include machine rental, camera rental, supplies, materials, things like that, right? You can add all that stuff, and then you add 30% profit margin on top. But for the sake of our conversation today, we'll keep it at $3,000. We add 30% markup as profit for us. The clients don't need to know any of this stuff. So 30% times 3,000, I believe is $900. So you'll submit an estimate of $3,900, and you need to figure out what the terms and conditions are, who owns what, how many changes are part of the contract, usually 2 or 3, at most 3. and then what files you'll give them, what days they'll check, how long it'll take for them to give you feedback, what a project delay can consist of, and what a project cancellation fee looks like. Then you have a one-page deal memo again, and you write all this stuff out, you send it to them, you require 50% upfront, 25% progress payment, and 25 net 14 days, something like that. So you're gonna get 50% upfront, which would be almost $2,000. And then as you are nearing completion, you send them another invoice, they give you another $1,000. And when you deliver, they have 14 days to give you the remaining $900 to $3,900. That's how I would do it.
Wow, wow, wow. Clapping emojis, clapping emojis, clapping emojis. That was awesome. That was profound. That was profound. So much wisdom there. So much wisdom. So much wisdom. I think I'm going to get bored, because most times people tell me that, wow, they want to opt in for remote jobs. I don't have a very good narrative about remote jobs, so I usually discourage people from getting into remote jobs. But I think this is so profound. This is so profound. So you get to secure, you get to shift the risk from yourself. You get to shift the risk from yourself, and I think that favors both you and the client. It favors both you and the client. So that is profound. That is profound. So I think this is it for tonight. This is it for tonight. This is it for tonight. I think those are the 5 scenarios we promised, and I think you guys have gotten a lot. You guys have gotten a lot, or we have all gotten a lot. Lots of knowledge here. So Chris, okay.
A couple people are asking for a recap.
Okay, for a recap.
Yeah, can you recap for them?
Okay, you mean a recap for this one, or
this last thing that we just talked about? They want to recap. We're about to end, and so people are like, what were the key takeaways and the lessons? Can you recap for everybody?
Okay, I'm going to do that. So beginning from, I might not be very detailed. Because Chris is talking very fast, so I try to pick some things. So I might not be very detailed. So I'll just go through from the first point. I'll go through from the first point. So the first point we talked about. So please, any part I do not get very correctly, Chris, you can just help me. So I'll start from the first point. So we talked about knowing when to accept a client's proposal, and sometimes the pay might be very low, and you just get to consider some other things rather than you just looking at the pay you get. So I think we mentioned 3 things. We mentioned you looking at it based on your portfolio. You have to consider, with this job add to my portfolio? Is it very it might be very strategic when it comes to your portfolio. Maybe it might just heighten your portfolio. You might get to work for the brand because of your portfolio. And we had another one, I think, for the sake of relationship. I think I'm right, Chris. For the sake of relationship. So if I miss anything, please tell me, because you talk like very fast. I have to pick some words. So we talked about relationship also. On the comment section too, you can just say some things on the comment section too, so we could add things up. So we talked about relationship. If the client, some you might get to work for some persons that they might not pay you very high, but they tend to refer you. So for the sake of relationship, you might just consider. For the sake of relationship, you might consider. Okay. So another thing, I think the last one was what was the last one? This can someone just remind me? I think it's slipped. What was the last one? I think there were 3 arrows there. If you've been here, what was the last one? Okay.
Don't worry, move on to the next one. I'll recap the recap. Don't worry, keep going.
Okay.
What's the next thing?
Okay. So when there is an opportunity to expand, so how do you know an opportunity to expand? How do you know when you should expand? So I think what Chris said there was that you would check your income. So if your income is enough to pay somebody
to do the work you do,
then you should consider expanding. I think that was the major. I know there are some things more, but I'm just trying to sum everything up. So I think that was the major thing Chris said there. Then I think number 3 was if a client doesn't know exactly what he or she wants, so and just asks you to provide the solution. So how do you go about it? So I think Chris talked about you guiding the clients, and he made some examples. I think that was concerning logos. He said you have to guide the clients. What particular logo do you want? Do you want a word mark? Do you want a symbol? You get to show the clients the pictures. You get to show them the pictures and say, okay, which do you want? Which brands do you
which of these marks are you more attracted to? Which do you prefer? So you show them the brands, and even if they choose a particular one, you have to tell them if it's word mark, which word would you like people to use to describe you? Think something like that. So they get to pick. You get to guide them through that journey, and at the end, even if they are not able to make it, but it's just a very vivid decision, a very clear decision, you get to be around. You will not make much mistakes while trying to get what they want. So it will just be narrow. So you get to pick something that something around what they would prefer. So I think that was what I got there. Then I think the 4th point was what would you do if your client does not like your logo? I think, or something you presented to them, you feel like it's professional enough, and you feel that it's professional enough, and your client does not still like it. What are you going to do in such case? So I think Chris talked about you having a communication problem, right? I think he said that there might be a communication problem that he's just going to accept and say, okay, thank you for being honest, client so client ABC. Thank you for being honest, and so we can go over this again. What exactly don't you like about this? Is it the color? You try to be specific. Is it the font? Or so the client gets to pick and say, okay, maybe you can change the color, things like that. But if the client does not pick anything like that, then you have to say, okay, let's start afresh. So you get to try to gather information again. You know that maybe you did not communicate things properly, or there was no the communication was not good enough. That was why you're not able to deliver. So for the last one, I think Chris will just round everything up. Chris will just round everything up. Okay. For the last one, Chris will just
Yeah,
take
finish
over.
it.
Yeah.
No, you finish it. You're doing good.
I can finish it. Okay. Chris believes in me. Chris said I can finish it too. Let me try. Okay. Let me try. So the last one was if you were given a remote job, what will be the boundaries you put in place so the client does not use you, and you don't waste too much time on a single project?
So I think one of the major things we talked about was I think the hour you spend in the work. If you have to do an hourly pay, then I think talking about you asking the client, first of all,
What does the client want? What are the expectations? What are the expectations? So the client gets to tell you the expectations, then you look at the number of hours you can work on this particular project. What's the number of hours? Then at the end of the day, while you want to build the client, or while building the client, you have to multiply the hours, I think times 3. Am I right there? I think times 3, right? Multiply the hours. So if you're using 10 hours, you multiply it times 3, so you get 30 hours. So you build them according to the multiplied hours. I think I said a laughing emoji there. Crazy for me. Is it for me?
Keep going. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
okay. I think
It's not the amount of information you consume, it's the amount of information you retain.
yes, you do.
And then
Yes, you
it's not
retain.
the amount of information you retain, it's the amount of information you
Yes.
apply. So I've never
Yes.
asked anybody to give a live recap before, so EKD did
Yeah.
a good job. And the challenge with him giving a reply was, I noticed, as far as I could tell, he wasn't writing these notes down. So he's probably doing this just from memory. Is that right?
Of course. Yes.
Okay. You should say of course, because when you see me interview people, I literally write notes, and I have notes from our conversation as well. Okay. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to give you guys a really quick recap. I enjoyed you doing the recap because it it made me think about how I'm explaining things so that people can remember them. Okay.
Okay.
And I try to use what they call like mnemonic devices, memory aids, or heuristics, and that helps people to remember. So everybody, you got to keep in mind, he's a young man. He's doing his best here. He's hosting. He's worrying about technology and does he look good on camera, and who knows, internet connection and lag. He's got a lot that he's juggling, but never forget this. Nothing communicates. I saw Simon Sinek do this earlier today. He was on stage and he said, let me show you guys something, a psychological experiment. He takes out his phone. He starts talking to the audience with the phone in his hand. He says, does this communicate to you that I care or I don't care? And they said, I don't care, of course. Because it's like I'm a little distracted, even though it's not on and I'm not talking to anybody. Because the best thing you can do is put the phone away so that you can feel like I'm focused on you. And I want to tell you something. He didn't ask this question, but I thought about this. What is something you can hold in your hand that communicates to people that you really, really care? What is that thing that you can hold in your hand? What's that?
Notes.
Well, you can't hold notes, but you can hold a pen. If I hold a pen that's open, it communicates to you. You're going to say something profound such that I don't want to risk it to my memory to not write it down. So I will write it down. Everybody, believe this. Next client meeting you go to, use this. Just use this. You don't need to say anything. You could nod, non-verbal things, and just keep writing, okay? That tells the other person, wow, I'm saying something good. And if you want more of it, all you have to just keep writing, just nod. And you smile. This is so good. They'll just give you more and more. This is excellent, because what you're getting is you're getting an unfair competitive advantage over everyone else who's a poor listener. It's the ultimate weapon in sales to be a great listener, everybody. It's a great way to be a great lover too, to be a really good listener. It's a way to be a great friend, to be a great parent, to be a great child. Think about that. Now, I'm going to go over this pretty quickly. So all y'all, you had your warning. Get your pen out. Write this down. What is the point of you to be here if you're not going to write anything down and apply it? So here we go. EKD asked me 5 questions. Asked me 5 scenarios. He wanted to put my feet to the fire and answer some questions. Here we go. Please don't interrupt me. Here we go. Number 1, how do we choose what clients to work with? We use the 3 R's. I said the 3 R's. I would have loved it if you were able to repeat that. It's about the real, the relationship, and the revenue. Clearly, if they're paying you a ton of money, just take their freaking job. You need the money. Build your business this way. So if revenue is not on the table, we have to have at least one of the other 2, which is it good for the reel? I used to make motion graphics, so reel means portfolio. It's good for your book. If it's not going to be a project that you can leverage into the future to get the kinds of clients that you want, it don't matter. All projects are not created equal. So you want a client who's going to allow you to explore, to express your creative muscles. And if that's there, then take the job. And lastly, it's relationship. Not all clients are relationships. The relationships that you want are the people who are social butterflies, who love to shout on top of the rooftop, this person's amazing. Everybody needs to work with EKD. Everybody needs to work with Aditi or Jill or Michael or Chris or Barkham, okay? That's what you want. So if they have that trait and they don't have money and the reel or the portfolio is not that good, at least you know they'll tell everybody about you, and that's how you get word of mouth advertising. WOMA, word of mouth advertising. Next question is about when should you hire other people? Well, you should do it immediately, as soon as possible, because time is a perishable, non-renewable resource. You want to use your money to buy time. Your goal in life is to ask for more money so that you can hire someone to help you. So you work in arbitrage, which is you pay less and you sell for more. Buy cheap, sell high. Buy cheap, sell high. Keep living on this principle and you do really good things for yourself. Number 1, you work less. You'll do better work. You'll actually help the local economy or global economies. It doesn't matter, because not everybody has the ability to work with a client. Leverage this. This is very important, and you'll start to build an agency. Number 3, it's about understanding that if your clients are not supposed to know how to describe what they want. You're supposed to be the expert and use language. So we all need to increase our vocabulary to make it easier for people to understand what it is that we're doing, to make it less intimidating. And when we do that, they're going to feel great, and you're going to put yourself in a position of trust. You're going to be building rapport, and you're going to have these transformative moments where the clients feel they got great clarity. Number 4, if the clients give you feedback that they hate the work you did, even though you agreed to everything, you take it in strides. You're a professional. Act like one.
Don't be an emotional baby about this. Say, I'm so glad you're giving me this feedback now. Be thankful, be grateful for it, and start to unpack by isolating what they're looking at until you can discover what's wrong. And add into that. If you hate everything, if you think we should start over, tell me now. I'm happy to start over. You give them permission to say, you know what, none of this is working. So you don't have to tiptoe your way towards 1,000 changes. It's like death by 1,000 paper cuts. You don't want to do that. And you know what? I find that most often when you say that at the beginning, feel free to tell me everything is not good. We can start over. They check themselves. Like, well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, like, I don't like some things. So it kind of resets the conversation and lets them know that you're open, you're collaborative, you're mature, and best of all, you are a professional. Remember that. Okay? Number five is, how do you figure out how to charge if you're working as an independent contractor? Nothing wrong with remote work. We're all doing it. I do it too. I'm not here physically talking to you, EKD. This is a remote work. I'm doing it. So what you want to do is you have clear terms and definitions. What is it we want? What's the comfort level? How do we establish to be a win-win? The easiest thing to do is to have a conversation about this. Don't be shy. To say, what works best for you? Do you want to do this hourly or by the project base or some other form? They're like, well, it's this other thing. Okay, wait. Most people will pick either hourly or project base. When you're starting out, people don't know how to manage creative people. They will pick hourly. No problem. Tell them your rate. Give them a ballpark estimate. Get some portion of that money up front or all of it into an escrow account so that you're not going to get screwed. Hourly is safe for you because whatever you work, you get paid as long as they're credible. Do a little bit of homework up front. Find out who they are, if they have a bad reputation or not, because you want to steer clear of them. People will cheat you. I've had a couple of clients who stiffed me on payments, and I've learned the hard way. Avoid them. I prefer to work project rate. Project rate is, you know what? They have control because they're only going to pay a certain amount. You have control over time, which is what you ultimately want. So when you're figuring out how much to charge them, whatever you think in terms of how many hours you're going to work on it, a good rule of thumb is to triple it because it always takes longer. You never account for all the weird stuff that you have to do. This is not unethical because the client already knows I buy security and I will overpay for something so that I take no risk. I know exactly what you're going to deliver this for, and therefore I pay a premium when there's no risk. And the analogy I'll make for all of you who can't wrap your head around this is when you rent a car, they will oftentimes pitch you buying insurance. It's like God insurance. No matter what happens to this car, you're covered. So you pay for peace of mind. Most of us never use it. This is why they sell you really hard on this extra insurance because they know oftentimes no one's going to deliberately crash in the car. There's good reason because you're in the car. It's too dangerous for you to crash the car. Okay? So 3 times the amount of what you think you're going to spend, and you need to add 30% on top of that called profit. So if you do the job well, you'll make 30%. And this is important. You don't need to explain to the client. You just submit the bid for $3,900. They either accept it or they don't, and you go about your merry way. You're going to ask for 50% up front. We're going to use the 50, 25, 25 rule. 50% up front.
For us to even book this on the calendar, 25% progress payment, 25% net 14. The minute I deliver it, you are going to pay me in 14 days or less. Put a penalty clause in there to say it will accrue interest of X% per day or per week, whatever you want to do. So it'll incentivize them to pay quicker, and they will do that. And that's it for us. So I'm Chris Doe, D-O. Please, if you've enjoyed this conversation, give me a follow here on Instagram. I'm trying to get to 1 million followers. It's been really tough, guys. I don't want to complain. This is like a spoiled brat complaining about having 900 some odd thousand followers, okay?
It's going to get there. It's going to get there.
It'll get there slowly but surely. 1 new follower at a time. That's it for me. Thank you very much, and I hope to see all of you. Go ahead.
Before you go, we have, on behalf of the community, we have something to present you, and it's just our way of honoring you. So I'm just going to add up the person. We have 2 things to present to you, 2 things, and we're just going to do it very quickly. So I'm just going to have the person that wants to present it. So Dr. Poe, I'm adding you up. Okay. So Chris, this is Dr. Poe. He's a friend of the community. So on behalf of us, I think creatives in Nigeria would want to present you something. And I think he's going to do that because it's been amazing learning from the future. I believe a lot of persons have gotten a lot from the future. So, Dr. Paul, over to you.
All right. Good evening. Can you hear me, Chris?
Yes, loud and clear. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Good to have you. And on behalf of all our team, we are bringing this to LA, right, or wherever you are. So I'm sure you will be able to read, but your name is inscribed on this beautiful award. It's our little way of saying thank you so much, because most of us that came across your content did that during the COVID, right? I personally consumed a lot of the content. I had to download as many as I could from YouTube, and it's changed my perspective about the creative business, and also made me really go study. I read a lot during that period as a designer, and I appreciate that. So a host of us, right? I think EKD is still going to share some videos with you. We made some videos for you, and I hope you love it. So we really appreciate, and we are bringing this to LA. So I'll quickly read this for your unwavering commitment to pushing boundaries, setting unparalleled standard, pushing the envelopes, and setting new benchmark in design and the creative space. Your exceptional progress and innovation inspires and redefine excellence in ways that leave an indelible mark. This is not just an award. It's a testament of your relentless pursuit, innovation, and impeccable standards. From EKD and the Design Rethink team from Nigeria, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Okay, bye, Dr. Paul. Thanks for that.
Thank you, Dr. Paul.
Thank Dr. Paul. So that, Chris, is to honor you. We just have one more. Like you said, we have the video already.
Okay.
We made. Chris, look at my pen.
I'm looking at your pen now. Now you got it. Look at my pen.
We have one more thing. I know the video is already there. We're going to premiere the video on YouTube. We made a documentary for you just to honor you, and it's over. I think it's 4 minutes plus. It's not up to 5 minutes. So you just promise us that you're going to watch it, because it's something from our part. We got the committee to make the video, so we're going to present it to you. Chris said your heart. Okay. So I'm just going to get so Dr. Poe is going to leave now. So I'm going to get one more person. So the last item I want to present to you, it's just it's a photo manipulation. It's just an image of you, and we'll just do something beautiful just to honor you also. So Dr. Poe, let me get the next person to come up.
Okay, you can get the next person to come in while I drop.
Okay. So Smith, are you there? Smith, are you there? Smith, if you are there, just send in a request. Smith, if you're there, send in a request. Or if it's not there, I think I'll have to send it privately to Chris Do if it's not there, so that we don't get to waste time. So just after this, it's going to be on YouTube. So I'm going to send the link also, Chris. That video is very precious to us. It's very, very precious to us. So thank you, Chris. I really appreciate this. Is a great opportunity for me, and we hope to see you next time. Maybe next time. Maybe we are 1 million followers.
Yes, I want to say this. In 2024, I sure hope that I will make my way to Ghana, to Nigeria, and to South Africa.
Whoa!
Right? I'm just putting it out there, everybody. So we don't know who will show up and whatever was going to happen. So if you got excited about this idea, and make sure you comment on this video. Make sure you make some noise, because sponsors will show up and make this happen for us, okay? Put in the comments, hashtag Nigeria, hashtag Ghana, South Africa. Put it in there, okay? Put it on this live stream and make some noise. Share it all over social media. Here, take a picture of us, right? Screenshot this, everybody. Okay, now you have that screenshot. Go share it on your stories. Mention me, mention the future. And let's make this happen, because people tell me, and I don't know, I have no way to verify this, EKD, that our content and what we teach is so known within the design communities there in Africa. It shocks me. I don't know if it's true or not. And they're like, Chris, somebody told me there's not one person that's in the design community that doesn't know who you are, who would not show up to something that you do.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Absolutely true. Absolutely true, Chris. You've got to see this video. You've got to see this
Okay.
video. You've
I
got
look
to see
forward to
this
seeing
video.
it.
So thank you, Chris. So
We're live on the video will be on YouTube just as we close this session. The video will be on YouTube. It's an amazing video. So everybody, you can move over to YouTube to check it out. Okay. Okay. YouTube. We're also live on YouTube, so you can go out to check it. So we are closing down. So Chris, thank you very much. Like he said, please tag. You have to you screenshotted the picture. So tag the future. Tag Chris. Do say Nigeria. Say Ghana. I love Ghana too. So Nigeria, Ghanaian. So we have to do this. We have to
right.
ensure that Chris will come because it has been of great help to us here.
so that's it. That's it. So Chris is going
Yes.
to go now,
I'm gonna
and
go.
I'm going to make some announcement before I go.
Before I get out of here, thank you very much, EKD, for doing this. Thank you all
Thank you,
100,
Chris.
200 people who showed up to watch, to hang out with us. Hopefully you got some
Yeah.
value today. And just
Yeah.
the secret to life is just apply this. My name is Chris Doe, but just remember, it's not thinking, it's doing that's going to make a difference. It's not thinking,
Wow.
it's doing that's going to make the difference. And creative media, if you want to host me, if you got a big community, just send me a DM. Anybody who wants to help make this happen. If you're a sponsor, event organizer, and you have some credibility, just send me a DM. We'll make this happen. India, I did not forget about you. India's on the plans too. So that's it. I'm out of here. Have a great day, everybody. Have a good night, good evening, good morning. Take care.
Good
Bye,
night,
everybody.
Chris. Good night, Chris. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Chris. So that's it. That's it for tonight. I believe it was an amazing night. And I believe you guys got lots of knowledge being shared here. Lots of knowledge. So we are moving over. It's not done. We are moving over to YouTube. We're moving over to YouTube. The video is going to be there. We made a video. So if you're an African or any part of the world, you have to go to YouTube now. Creative EKD. YouTube Creative EKD. Please type it on the comment. Creative then EKD, creative, then EKD. Type it on the comment. So you guys should go over to YouTube. We are going to watch the video right now. We're going to watch the video right now. Okay. And I want to give a shout out to the African design community. I want to give a shout out also to the Creative Cycle.
Okay, that's my community. And we made the video. And I want to give a shout out to Dr. Paul, shout out to Design Rethink. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for your time. And if you love this, you had when Chris said that this live is authentic and beautiful. You've got to see what's happening on YouTube. This was done by my media partner,
A-Tech Media. So if you love what you see, just DM me. And if you love the setup and everything, DM me and we'll see to it that yours will be fixed. So Creative EKD. So do well to move over to YouTube. Bye. See you guys. So follow me before you go. There are lots of things packed for you guys. Okay. So bye. See you guys. I believe everyone has a genesis, okay? Everyone, especially for mentors, there is always those series of moments that propel them in the path of guiding others. For Chris, I think it's more of passion and purpose.
In the quiet moments of guidance, in the echo of shared wisdom, a mentor's legacy is born, a guide whose influence reaches far beyond the creative industry.
If you look up to me, you gotta know I fall a lot. When I fall, I'm like, that hurt. What did we learn from this? That was necessary to discovering something new.
Chris Doyle is one of the most amazing and sensational creative I've ever known. I met him virtually during the COVID time, and it made a lot of change in my life. It affected positively my relationship with my clients. It also affected the quality of work I'm able to deliver, my presentation and all of that.
Mentorship is an art, an intricate dance of guidance, wisdom, and self-discovery. Chris has mastered this dance.
So the only thing that you need to do is to go do something. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter how big or how small. And the problem is we overcomplicate everything. And Tony Robbins says this, complexity is the enemy of execution.
And one material that really struck me and changed the way I viewed things from pricing to freelancing was Pocket Full of Dough.
5 years ago, I was searching about pricing as a freelancer that was just starting off her career in design. And on YouTube, I found Chris Doyle. He had this video where he was talking about genuinely helping your clients, and that stuck with me forever.
I am eternally grateful for everything he has done, all the sacrifices he has made to actually create some of those contents and not holding back for sharing it with us. Thank you.
Chris has not only shaped careers but nurtured souls. As the guided become guides themselves, the legacy of Chris continues, a ripple effect of knowledge and inspiration. And so, in the chapters of mentorship, Chris stands as a beacon, a guide whose influence transcends time.
One billion people. When I first heard that, I'm like, this is quite a number. 1 billion people, really? I think with time, with what we are seeing, this is becoming a reality. The numbers are becoming closer.
I am one among the 1 billion.
I am one amongst the 1 billion.
I am one among the 1 billion.
It's been a very nice time knowing you, Crystal. Keep the good work. Emmanuel from Nigeria.
I am one among the 1 billion.
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 I must say that I'm one of the 1 billion people he has set to affect globally.
I am grateful and proud to be one among the 1 billion.
So definitely yes, IKD. I am amongst that 1 billion people. Thanks, Chris.
To be the hero of your story, you must answer the call, and the obstacle is the way.
I believe everyone has a genesis, okay? Everyone, especially for mentors, there is always those series of moments that propel them in the path of guiding others. For Chris, I think it's more of passion and purpose.
In the quiet moments of guidance, in the echo of shared wisdom, a mentor's legacy is born, a guide whose influence reaches far beyond the creative industry.
If you look up to me, you gotta know I fall a lot. When I fall, I'm like, that hurt. What did we learn from this? That was necessary to discovering something new.
Christo is one of the most amazing and sensational creative I've ever known. I met him virtually during the COVID time, and it made a lot of change in my life. It affected positively my relationship with my clients. It also affected the quality of work I'm able to deliver, my presentation and all of that.
Mentorship is an art, an intricate dance of guidance, wisdom, and self-discovery. Chris has mastered this dance.
So the only thing that you need to do is to go do something. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter how big or how small. And the problem is we overcomplicate everything. And Tony Robbins says this, complexity is the enemy of execution.
And one material that really struck me and changed the way I view things from pricing to freelancing was Pocket Full of Dough.
5 years ago, I was searching about pricing as a freelancer that was just starting off her career in design. And on YouTube, I found Christo. He had this video where he was talking about genuinely helping your clients, and that stuck with me forever.
I am eternally grateful for everything he has done, all the sacrifices he has made to actually create some of those contents and not holding back or sharing it with us. Thank you.
Chris has not only shaped careers but nurtured souls. As the guided become guides themselves, the legacy of Chris continues, a ripple effect of knowledge and inspiration. And so, in the chapters of mentorship, Chris stands as a beacon, a guide whose influence transcends time.
$1 billion people, 1 billion people. When I first heard that, I'm like, this is quite a number. 1 billion people, really? I think with time, with what we are seeing, this is becoming a reality. The numbers are becoming closer.
I am one among the 1 billion.
I am one amongst the 1 billion. I am one among the 1 billion.
It's been a very nice time knowing you, Christo. Keep the good work. Emmanuel from Nigeria.
I am one among the 1 billion.
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 I must say that I'm one of the 1 billion people he has set to affect globally.
I am grateful and proud to be one among the 1 billion.
So definitely yes, IKD. I am amongst that 1 billion people. Thanks, Chris.
To be the hero of your story, you must answer the call, and the obstacle is the way.